Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to episode 11 of Codebase Alpha. The big news for me personally is that the Codebase has been accepted into the live coders stream just today. So that's really pleasing development for me, and I'm very grateful to Jeff Fritz for inviting me to join that illustrious group. So in episode 11, the plan is to try and integrate the Alexa skill we've been developing into the DevStreams project. So what I've done in preparation for this, I've taken a fork of the DevStreams repo. Thank you very much, Coded Bird. Thank you for the congratulations. That's very kind. So we've taken a fork of the repo from Brendan, and I've just done a little bit of work to prepare that. So I'll just show you what I've done. So all I've done is to go in so far, and I've added in the code to get our secrets out of the Azure Key Vault. So if you remember, we had a get skill ID method. I've created a get secrets method which returns this tuple, and I'm just populating the configuration here with those secrets. And I've also published this up to Azure to make sure it works, so we don't run into any basic issues. But that's all I've done. So in preparation for integrating the skill in, there's a few things we have to do first. And one of the things I want to do first is to actually publish our Alexa skill library up to Azure. Not to Azure, sorry, to NuGet. So here we are in our library project, and this is actually the web project we're in, but here's the library. And if I right click on this and go to properties, under the package tab here, you can see we've got a version. I'll set it up to version 0.1. We filled a few things in, and I'm going to get it so it will create a new get package basically whenever we build. So just check this this option here, build NuGet package on so generate NuGet package on build. So that should do that for us. If we build this package, build this library, we should get a NuGet package created for us. And you can see here it says successfully created package, and it's given us the location where it is. Okay, so let's go and have a look there. So let's bring up a PowerShell window, and I just need to enter the key. There we go. Oops. There we go. So we want to go to the D drive, and then we want to CD to where that package file is, which is going to be there. Okay, let's get that across here, and there we can see our NuGet package. So Store Penner, welcome to the stream. Good to see you. Okay, so we've got the location of our NuGet package. Now I want to do this up front because I think it'll take a few minutes for it to appear on NuGet. So we want to get this this done before we do the rest. See, Payette, thank you very much for the bit. So you just, by one bit, you snuck into the lead. And welcome to the stream. I enjoyed your stream this afternoon. It was early morning for you, I think. That was a really fun stream, so thank you very much for that. So thank you for the bitties. That's very kind of you. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just in case you don't know how to do this, there's an article by our friend Adalis, Steve Smith, which describes the process, and eventually we'll automate this, but let's go through the actual process manually first. So he's got a checklist up on the internet here for publishing NuGet packages. Yes, it was a fun stream. It was good to help you. I'm glad it was some help at least. We started to flounder a bit there, without actually having the code in front of me. Find it quite hard to actually experiment and offer suggestions, but it did seem to work in the end. So well done. It was good stuff. Okay, so this is what our Dallas is suggesting we do. So we clone a repository, build the solution, run a unit test. We've done all that. Update the project file with the version number. We already set the version number. And then we've run the .NET pack. We've done that by the build. We've gone to the release folder. Oh, thank you very much for the follow as well. That's wonderful. So we're really heading on our way to our 100 follower goal. That's 71 now. Thank you very much for the follow, CPS. Okay, so it's Carrie, isn't it? Is it Carrie? Carrie? Sorry, I'm a bit poor with names, so do correct me with your correct name there. Okay, so we've got our package file, and what we need to do is go and get a key. So I'm just going to copy this first part of the command in directly from here, and let's go and pop that in there. So it wants a key, so I'm going to go and get the key, but I'm going to take this off Carey. Thank you for confirming that. Rambling Geek, welcome. I've been enjoying your lads' streams with these Lego. It's been very very fun. Okay, so we need to go off to the NuGet site now, and we need to get an API key. So let's go and do that, and I'll have to take it off screen, but I'll show you where that is. Okay, so I need to sign in. I'm just in. Okay. And here we are. So I'm just going to take this off screen again, so I do apologise, just to get my key. So I'm just getting a key now. I'm going to create one. I need to give it a name. So it's going to be the Codebase Alpha key. And it's basically got a year. So so I'll just fill a few details in on the form, so I can probably so I just need to say fill in this form, and I can now create my key. So I've got a key here. I'm going to copy that key, and then I'm going to paste it into that command in the PowerShell. And I'm sorry you can't see any of this, but it's best if we don't reveal anything. And I'm now going to add the NuGet package name onto the end of that command, and we're going to push that up to NuGet. Okay, the package has been pushed, so let's pop back to NuGet and we'll bring this all back here. Oops, that's the wrong screen. Which one is it? This one here. There we go. Okay, so the package was snb.alexa.lib. It won't be there yet, so we'll just basically wait for that to be published. Okay. So having done that part of it and hoping that goes through okay, what we need to do next is to have a look at our DevStreams project. So let's actually run this. What we can do, as it's up in the cloud, we can go over and do it from here. So if we open a new tab and we can go to SMB DevStreams AzureWebsites.net, we should be able to find our process running up there. You're trying to get Ethan to sleep. Is he too excited by his streaming, Rambling Geek? Okay, so you can see here we have Brendan's site. I've now moved it up into the cloud, and we're running in Azure. You can see we've got a couple of sites set up. So we detected that I'm live, so Codebase Alpha's live, and we've got 5 channels in the system. DevChatter, of course, comes with the system. When you actually kind of download the repository, you get that. And I put myself in there. We've got NoOpCat, Gareth, and Rambling Geek in there as well. And what we've done in there is set up some schedules. So, for example, for DevChatter, we've got his times, and they're all in Eastern Time. And then, say, for example, for Codebase Alpha, we've got in UK time. And for NoOpCat, it's the Sunday show on Eastern Time, and then a couple of UK ones. So we should be able to do a little bit of testing with time zones. Okay, so that's up and running. Let's see if we've got anything here yet. No. Okay, I'm hoping that's all going to work out and it's going to appear, but it might take a few minutes. So let's go over to our DevStreams code. Now, one of the things we want to do is bring in some logging, because if you remember in our library, we are logging lots of information and logging errors as well. So we need to make sure that we bring the logging in. So let's go and do that. So we need to actually add logging through NuGet. So we're going to go over here, and we want Microsoft logging. We got logging extensions. Microsoft. Now, is it Microsoft extensions logging? This is where I always get confused. So let's try extensions logging. Yeah, I think it's extensions logging. There we go. Let's find that. So we want this package, which is the basic logging extensions package. Let's install that. And we also want the oh, it looks like we've already got. Okay, so what's this saying? It says restore failed, version conflict detected, install reference extension 2.0 directly into the to resolve this issue. Okay, so it looks like DevChatter is running on 2.1. So let's actually let's sort that out. Let's bring it up to 2.2. So we want to edit the project file. Okay, and here it is. This is .NET Core 2.2. And let's just build that and get it to bring any packages in. Okay, so now it's saying it wants us to update some of these other things. So let's have a look what it suggests in NuGet. It's not suggesting any. Oh, then we need to get rid of the. We need to get rid of that. Let's just save that away. Okay. Right. This is obviously part of live coding, isn't it, to come across these problems? So let's have another look over here. So I think we're going to want 2.2, probably 0 of that, and probably that as well. And let's see if it's happy with that. So let's rebuild. So it's a bit happier now. So let's go back into our NuGet package and get this. So get the extension. Okay, looks like we've got that now. So that's all happy. And we want the Azure logging extensions as well. So I think it's oops. So Azure Azure Web. Should be in this list. Let's not mess around and let's go and see what it is in our project over here. Let's have a look. So let's open the project file, and it's this one here, App Services. Let's just grab the whole thing. So we're going to do a fair bit of copying and pasting out of that project this evening, so we don't have to kind of recreate what we've done before. So let's bring this in. So this package will allow us to log to Azure. Michael Jolly, welcome to the stream. Afternoon, and congratulations on yourself becoming a member of the Live Coders team. And I think Carrie as well, you joined the team today as well, so congratulations to you. Okay, so there we are, we got that in there. Okay, so it looks like we had some updates actually, so let's go and sort that out. Yeah, a couple of updates there, so let's grab those. We'll just do that, we won't do the bundle minifier, just the code generation. Nice full chat this afternoon, this evening. Okay, here we go. So there's a bit of preparation we have to do to actually get up and coding this evening, but hopefully we'll be able to get through this phase of the work fairly simply. Okay, so let's have a look in our program file. So this is the program.cs for DevStreams, and we need to add the logging in here. So let's just go across to our. We did all this on the previous streams, so no need to go through it again, but just grab the code from here so you can see, and here we've got the logging being added at the end here, so configure logging. So let's just grab that out of there and let's plonk it into here. So what we're doing here is we're configuring logging. We're basically clearing out any preset providers which the create web host builder process here will create. We're clearing them, we're adding console, and then we're adding the all-important Azure Web Diagnostics sync in there for our logs. Okay, so I wonder if we've got anywhere with our package yet. Yes, here's our package. So the SMB Alexa lib is now available to us, so we can go and get that and bring that in. So let's do that. So to our manage NuGet packages, and we want, and that is the first for me, one of my packages up on NuGet. So let's have a look at SMB. We're in the updates. That's right. There we go. That's our library. So that's our version 0.1.0 of our library. Yes, Michael, we're adding Alexa to DevChatter's DevStreams project. So this is what we're calling a test fit. So it's really kind of a dry run, ready to do the actual PR, which we'll do on stream, in order to get this into DevStreams. Now there's still a bit of work that has got to be done on the DevStreams project before we can actually do the PR. That's right, Mike. So we can say who's streaming now. We can say who's live now. We can say something like when is the Michael Jolly streaming next, and also we want to kind of expand that into when we can say who streams JavaScript and .NET Core, or who streams Rust and F#, for example. So we can get some suggestions back. So that's the idea. I've got an echo here, so we can have a play. What we're going to do is see if we can actually get it to actually find people. Now the challenge is going to be we've got a database with kind of hard-coded names in there, and we've got to try and match that with a voice name. So we say the Rambling Geek. We've got to actually then try and match that with the word Rambling Geek in the database. So it could be a bit of a challenge, but we'll see. Okay, so let's install our library. So this library, if you haven't been with us before, this contains all the code that we need in order to satisfy Amazon's certification requirements from a technical perspective. So basically it does all the security for us. So we haven't got to worry about all the complexity of solving that problem each time. So we just download this. It was created from scratch. We actually spent quite a long time on the first couple of streams just creating classes which would map to JSON and writing JSON converters and things like that, because I wanted to show what it takes to actually write these libraries, rather than just going out to the internet and bringing down a package which actually does it all for us. Let's write it from scratch. It's kind of part of the philosophy of the Codebase Alpha streams, is that we're kind of beginner friendly. We're not a teach you to code stream, but the idea is that show you how to build these right from the start. Obviously we do bring in libraries for mundane tasks, but where there's an interest and a point to learn, then we'll write things from scratch ourselves. So that's our library in place. So we can come out of here now. Okay. So we've got our login there as well, so that we're done with the program file. So if we go across to our test application, which is what we've been developing using, we can go over to the startup file here. A raid incoming. Is there a raid incoming? Where's that coming from? Yeah, if there's a raid incoming, then get your remotes ready to defend us against the raid. Oh, Chief CTL. That's Chief CLL. That's right. I got you. I think tweet your stream out earlier, and I think I got the name wrong. So Chief CLL, welcome. Okay, so live coders forever. You're back on at 7:15. What time is that in UTC, Chief? Okay, so let's get back to what we're trying to do here. Okay, so when we were developing the web API part of the Alexa skill test system, in 2 hours, Chief, I should be finished in 2 hours, so maybe I'll do a raid back to you. Okay, so what we need to do, yes. So one of the things we did with on the stream previously is develop a piece of custom middleware, and it's this use Alexa request validation middleware here, and you can see it's actually contained in a conditional use, which people may not have seen before. So there's use HTTP redirection, use Swagger. So this is basically inserting all these bits of middleware into the pipeline, but this is a conditional insertion. So only basically requests will only go through this piece of middleware here if the request path starts with API and Alexa. So that's how we're kind of making sure we don't interfere with any other of the MVC controller endpoints or any other API endpoints we might have. This one's got a value controller endpoint, which is we use to test to make sure that we weren't interfering with that endpoint by putting the middleware in. So let's grab this piece of middleware code here, and we're going to pop that across into the DevStreams project. Okay, we're at the startup file. We're going to insert it. We're going to insert it here. Okay, so that's our use, and we need to now bring in the this package. Okay, so we should have our Alexa library in here, so let's just make sure we've got it in here. Yep, there it is. Okay, that's good. Okay, and come on. Alright, let's just do it manually. It's not going to help us out. usb.alexa.lib.middleware. Okay, so that should have sorted out our squiggly, which it has. There we go. Okay, let's pop back across to where we've just been in our other project. So we've got all that in there, and the other thing we need to do is bring in this HTTP client. So this is a strongly typed HTTP client which we created inside of our library, and we use this. Basically, it's going to be used to find out the time zone of the user. So the Alexa user will, when they're making a request, if they're in the UK and they're asking about DevChatter's stream, we store all their stream times in UTC in the database, and then it will basically convert that to the local time for the user of the Alexa device. So hopefully that's one of the challenges we're going to have tonight, I think, is getting that bit working. But hopefully it should be relatively straightforward, relatively at least. So this is going to live in our configure services method over here. So here's configure services. We can stick it somewhere near the top. We'll put it after our code here. Okay. So that's our Alexa client, and we need to bring in our using statement for that. I don't know why my little light bulbs aren't lighting up. HTTP clients. Okay, so that should be happy now. Oh, we want the interfaces as well, because the Alexa client. So the way that project is structured over here, you can see that in the library itself we have our JSON converters in here, we have our actual concrete Alexa client here, but we have an interfaces directory with all our interfaces that we're using. Then we've got middleware, then we've got our request and response classes, and we've got a response builder, which is a it's actually the builder pattern which we were talking about on your stream earlier today. Okay, so we've got that in place. So we actually need to create an endpoint that we're going to work with. So we've got our controllers over here. Let's create an Alexa controller. So this is going to be a API controller, empty. And we're going to call it Alexa controller. So let's create that. So cheers everybody. Okay. So once again, we can save a bit of time here by going over to our Alexa controller and actually pulling in some code from here. Okay. So let's just grab some code from here. So some of this stuff is what we used for Swagger, and I haven't put Swagger in yet, but we will put Swagger in at some point. It's not really the kind of point of what we're doing. And what we might as well do is just grab all of this code. We're not going to need every bit of the code, but we can certainly save a bit of time by pulling the whole thing in. Okay. So let's put that across. We're going to have some reds. We can sort that out by bringing those usings in. So we have separate usings for the request and the response. We want the response builder. What else have we got missing? configuration, not the logger. Go to our client. And looks like we're happy now. Okay, so I'll just run through this piece of code with you. Let's clear out our unnecessary usings. Okay, so let's run through the code. So we've got a route we've set up here, which is API Alexa DevStreams. This is what we're going to point our Alexa skill at. We've set some documentation up for Swagger here, which says we produce either a 200 OK message and return an Alexa response, or we produce a bad request. The next thing that we do as we come into this DevStreams method here, which is the main public method on here, what we do is make sure that, so we can get rid of this, I think, we make sure that the request that's coming from the Alexa skill is actually destined for this endpoint. And in our library we have a method called should process request. We pass in the skill ID, which is we get in out of Azure Key Vault over in the startup method here. Actually, we called it skill API ID, so let's just correct that. Skill ID. So it's skill ID over here, and if basically if the skill IDs don't match, then it will return a bad response. This will return false. Also, if the timestamp on the request is different from the current time by a maximum or up to 150 seconds, then everything's okay. But if it's either before the current time or up to 150 seconds in the future, then it will also return false. This is to prevent any kind of replay attacks. So this is all kind of part of the certification testing that that Amazon will conduct when we actually want to publish our skill to the public. Okay. So we're going to get rid of this user address. We're not interested in user address, but we are going to pull in the user's time zone. So what we're doing here, our strongly typed Alexa client, which is also coming from our library, has a method on it which is get user time zone. The reason why I removed the get user address call just then, so I'll just show you what it was. We had a test method here which was get user address. This actually requires permission from the user to share personal information. Basically, their time zone isn't considered to be personal information, but their address is, and we don't want to kind of burden our skill with having to ask users for extra permissions over and above the standard ones which they agree to when they download the skill. We did have some processing here where we actually detected we didn't have permission to use the address, and actually outputted a permissions card on the app screen or the Echo Spot screen. But we're not going to need any of that, so we'll get rid of that. It's just simplify it down. And then we've got some processing here where we try and find out what kind of request we've got. So it's either a launch request, which is what you say when you say something like Alexa open live coding. Live coding is our utterance which triggers our skill. We've also got what we call intents, and the intents are our custom conversations with the Alexa software, and there's also a built-in request type which is a session-ended request, and session-ended requests can actually be produced. Yes, I have got, my wife's got a Kindle Fire just in the kitchen, Kerry, and that just lit up as well. What I've done on my Echo is this is what Gareth Hubble told me about, which you can press the kind of switch off and don't listen kind of button on there. So I've got that set up, but I expect the Kindle Fire to be kind of chuntering away in the background as I say that A word. We had a lot of trouble with the A word, and the past few streams. Okay, so we are processing these requests and returning a response here. Okay, so the Alexa's response for a session-ended request handler, which is what we call when we get the session-ended request, basically is going to return a null response. But if the request body contained the error section, the error attribute, then we're going to log the error. So that's useful information that can come back when we've got something that's not working properly. Okay, we can get rid of a few bits and pieces. I think we might need to put them in, but all this should work. When we get an intent, so an intent is, as I say, it's one of our custom interactions that we've built up in the Alexa skill kit, which I'll show you shortly. So we have a couple of custom intents. The one next intent, this is when is dev chatter streaming next, with who is live intent, where we say who's streaming now, and it should come back with who's actually live at the moment, or a list of people who are live. And that's where we get into, when we get these lists of people, that's where we get into part of the system we haven't actually delved into yet, and that is two-way dialogues with your Echo. So for example, if we said who's live now and there were 10 people live, we wouldn't want to actually list out 10 people verbally. What we might say is something like, there are 10 people live at the moment, here are the top 3 or the first 3, and then you might read them out and you might say, would you like the next 3 or the next streamers, and they say yes, and then it'll reel out the next 3. So we haven't built that dialogue yet. But we could have been doing that this evening, but what I was quite conscious of is we've done a lot of kind of the legwork in building our library up, and we haven't really seen it working properly yet. We've got dummy data in here, but we need to actually get it working so it produces some reasonable results for us, so we can make sure it's actually going to be possible to do this at all, hence this test fit. Okay, so we've got those two, and then we've got some built-in intents here from Amazon. So the stop, when you say Alexa stop and Alexa help, and we'll have to build out what it says. So when you say help, it's going to say to use this skill, asking about the schedule of your favorite stream. You can also say that's the stop to exit the skill. So we need to build that up a bit. We've got cancel or stop also. It says thanks for using DevStreams skill, and then we've got our next response handler. Okay, so I think what we should do at this stage is actually publish this with the we've got a bit of work to do there. Let's get Newtonsoft.json in. Okay, let's build it and make sure it's okay. What we need to do is publish this up to Azure. Change the skill so it points to this endpoint, and then we can make sure that what we've got here with these kind of stock responses is all working, and then we can try and actually add some proper functionality to look in our database, which is where it's going to get interesting. Okay, so let's publish. So I'm going to use right click publish. If anyone who doesn't like that can please look away now. So that's publishing up to, oops, what have we got here? This version of, I thought we were targeting that. It's a core app. I thought we were targeting that. Let's have a look. 2.2 core app. We haven't got a version number on there. So we build okay. So why is it complaining when I publish? Publish. Check the output window. This version of Microsoft ASP Core app is only compatible with NetCore target framework. Please target. Oh, so now I'm a bit confused. Anyone seen this before at all? I am confused. So what have we got? So we've got ASP NetCore 2.2. We're targeting 2.2. Is there anything else not targeted? These should all be .NET Standard. .NET Standard 2.0. What are the props of the project? I suppose that's a good point. .NET Core 2.2. Well, it seemed to be complaining about the web project. Here, DevStreams.web. But that's very strange. If it builds, the build fails. The build works okay. So is it publish? Let me take this off screen and just have a look at the publish settings. Do bear with me. So that's all right. Configure. That looks all right. Yeah, we're targeting 2.2. Okay, so all I did was go into the publish profile, saw that it was 2.2, then I clicked publish again, and now it's worked. So weird. Yeah, it was right in the CS proj, Junicus, and welcome to the stream, Junicus. So here we go. We're bringing up our site. There we go. So we've got our site. Okay, so let's now pop across to Amazon Developer. Go to our skill kit. So this will be familiar to people who have followed the other streams, but to give you a quick look through. Okay, so this is where we set up our intent. So our invocation, this is the kind of the words we need to use to invoke our skill, is live coding. We did start off with DevStreams as the invocation phrase, but it doesn't really get that. Streams, it comes back with dreams a lot, and dev is a bit hit and miss. So we settled on live coding. Then we've got our intents. So there's 5 built-in intents here, and we've got our 2 custom ones. We've got our when next, and that's got a slot, which is like a variable, and that slot is the channel name. So, for example, dev chat or Codebase Alpha or Rambling Geek, or whatever. And what the Alexa software will do is try to, when you say one of these utterances, and these are just samples, it will try to fill in the channel. So it'll try and slot some words in there according to what you said. And what we have to provide it with is some examples for the slot. And we can go and have a look at that. That's over here. So what we've done in here is entered some example values, and this is quite important when you're doing your skill. Is that you need to have as many separate words in each of these phrases as the person could possibly say. So currently we've got Clark.io, instafluff, and no opcat as single words. So if I said instafluff, which is clearly 2 words, and we only had these 3 here in our sample utterances, it wouldn't get that there's 2 words. It would only say, I'll take the first word and put that in the slot. So what we've done here is kind of split them up. So we've got no opcat as 3 different words. We've got code rushed there for chatter, code base alpha, code base alpha. And what we'll have to do is expand that slightly as we kind of add streamers to the database, and when we kind of go into the integration testing, we try and find out if we can actually pull those people back out of the database again. So that's how that's working. All this is doing is building up a big JSON file, basically. Okay. And the second intent we've got, which is who is live, is very simple. It hasn't got any slots. So who's live on Twitch? Who's live right now? Who is streaming now? Let's change that. Streaming now. And we can put any other kind of samples we want to do in there. And we're going to add some more intents as we go along. But these are kind of the basic ones that we want to get working. What we need to do is save that model. We need to set up the endpoint. So where does that live? The endpoint. So there's the endpoint there. So currently the endpoint is SMB Alexa / API Alexa DevStreams. So we need to change this to DevStreams. Save that. Okay. So you can see that we've got it set up with a development endpoint, and we have a wildcard certificate, which is a certificate supplied by Azure. Okay. So let's go back to our intent, our invocation, and we'll build this model. So what this is doing is basically taking that JSON and it is compiling that up into whatever code behind the scenes the Alexa software is using. So hopefully very shortly it will finish building. You can see it's building up here. Now what we've found over the last few weeks of working with the Alexa software is that having published and rebuilt our model, the first time often Alexa doesn't respond or responds incorrectly. So let's give it a go. So we're going to use our invocation of Alexa ask live coding who's streaming now, and it should come back and say Codebase Alpha is streaming now. So let's see what happens. Alexa, ask live coding who is streaming now.
Codebase Alpha is streaming now.
Okay, so we've managed to prove that we've changed our endpoints, and we're now hitting our endpoint, processing our intent, which is our who's live intent here, and it's coming back the response. The response is hard coded. So let's go and have a look at that part of the code. I think we can probably lose this now. Anything else we might need? I don't think there is. So let's close that off. So we can just work with our DevStreams project. Okay. So this is the who is live response handler. And you can see that basically what's happening is we've set up a hard-coded piece of text, and we're also so we're saying that. So this is our builder pattern that we're using. So we're creating a response, and then we add a say block in there. What we're going to actually Alexa's going to verbalize. I'm also writing a simple card out. Actually, if we go over to over here, to the test console, we can demonstrate the card just so you see that part working. So so we can type in here, Alexa, ask live coding, who is streaming now. So this is a way of testing your skill without having an echo, but it's not actually perfect. So it does work for very simple intents, but it doesn't work for dialogues. So let's see what it comes back with. We might be able to hear a response.
Codebase Alpha is streaming now.
So I don't know if you caught that, it did say Codebase Alpha is streaming now, but down here you can see we've actually written that out to the card. And if we just try that once more. So you should see what it looks like on a Echo Spot. So this circle thing. You heard it, great, wonderful. I'm never quite sure if it just kind of carries to the microphone, but when I hold the echo up, it does. Okay, so that's how you can see that's the textual part of it when it writes out to the screen of an Echo Spot or a hub, or to your app. Okay, so let's come away from this. So here we need to figure out who is streaming now, don't we? So we've got a so this is the relatively simple part, and then we need to actually go and find out who's streaming. But we already have that functionality. So if you remember when we go to DevStreams, we've got the live now up here, so we can probably just pinch the code for that, whatever's coming up with that live now. So let's go and see if we can find where that is. So it is live controller. So so this is where we're getting that from, live channels. Okay. So let's just take all this code. So this is getting a specific Twitch ID if that's live. But we want this piece of code. So we'll take the to do with us, because it looks like there's some work to be done there. I don't have, so this is Janiscus. I don't have any of this assistance. Guess you would recommend Alexa, but there are any benefits of other similar assistants. Yeah, I think it's just I bought the Alexa when it was on special offer. This is the version 2 Echo. I think it was really cheap at the time because I was really pushing it. There's the similar service offered by Google with their device. Struggling to remember what it's called, but then you've also got Cortana and Siri and that kind of stuff. So I think they're pretty much of a muchness, but because I've got Amazon Prime, then the Amazon device was an obvious choice. So it's really down to personal choice. I think the Google Home. Thank you, Rambly Geek. That's right. So they're all leveraging the same kind of artificial intelligence and language synthesis and the language understanding software. I guess some might be more advanced than others. I've not had any experience of programming for the Google device or for Siri or for Cortana. But when we kind of started this, basically it was a couple of hours of research, getting the general idea of what to do to create these skills, and then we actually created it on stream. So if you go back to episode 4 when we start out, it's a matter of us working our way through the documentation. And I say what you'll find is a lot of this work would have been done already. There'll be packages up on NuGet or wherever which do all this. I think if you build Alexa skills using Google's Lambda functions, then a lot of it's all kind of taken care of in there. But the point of Codebase Alpha was to do things from scratch and to start from the very basics. So that's why we've done it. And so yeah, I can't advise you on the benefits over similar systems, because are pretty much sure they're very much the same. It just happens that I happen to own an Amazon Echo. Okay, so let's go over to our controller. Let's put this piece of code into here. Okay, and we need to bring some musings in. So that's not, it's the core model we want. We want to bring in some link, and some. So we've got a CRUD repository we need to inject, and a Twitch service we need to inject. So let's have a look at doing that. So up here we need to add some other things. So CRUD response, I think it was called CRUD repository. Yeah, and Twitch service, I believe it was called. Let's spell that correctly. So let's fetch those in. And I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. Twitch service, yeah. Is it called? Yes, it is. Okay, so let's just set those up here. So we want some, so we can get rid of this private user address thing. So we'll have an iCRUD repository. I'll call that repo, and we'll have an iTwitch service. We'll call that underscore repo, because I like to have an underscore to my private variables. Twitch service. And you know, it's one thing I'm not trying not to do as well, is to use lots of shortcuts and keyboard shortcuts and things like that, just to so I don't lose people who aren't necessarily experienced using all the shortcuts that are available with Visual Studio. So the idea is that people can see exactly what I'm doing. So repo is going to be CRUD repository, and underscore Twitch service is going to be Twitch service. Let me spell that again. Let's correct it up here. I don't know about you, but I have some very predictable misspellings. Servive seems to be one, and Chagny for change is the other one. I always type them like that. I think it just, my two-finger typing is when I try to get any kind of speed, it just produces that transposition, which is, I find, quite interesting. Okay, so we don't need that. We're not bringing the city back for the person, so let's lose that piece of code there. So where were we? We were down here, weren't we? So we had underscore repo there, and we had what else do we have? We had Twitch service there. Okay, so we got some problems over here. So yes, okay. So we're async. What's it complaining about? Okay, so we're not async here, are we? Okay, and we're going to need to await that, but I think, let's have a look, where are we? This was the intent request, and it was the who's live request. I'm going to await that. I'm going to make this async. Let's return a task of type that. This is where I find going async to be so tedious. So we want to await that. And Alexa's on just not intent request handler. Intent request handler. Oh, let's not bother with this. Let's keep it simple. Oh no, we need it to be async up here. Went too far. So this needs to be just Alexa response. Who is live? Let's not do that. Who is live can now be not async. For these, we will just do result. Can we not do that? So maybe we don't need to actually await it. Okay. Okay, looks fine. Coded Beard, welcome. Did I have the weight in the wrong place? Well, this is one of the problems about when you live coding. I think you can't see your own errors. I watch all my videos back. I don't know if any other streamers do that, but I publish them to YouTube and I watch them back and I just cringe. I had await response equals rather than response equals await. Well, we can go back and fix that in a moment. Let's just get it working. See, I cringe to the spelling mistakes and the silly errors that I kind of introduce, and I'm there scratching my head, and there's an obvious spelling mistake, or there's a method in the IntelliSense that's staring me in the face, and I'm not choosing it because that's the right one. Yeah, spelling is I can spell okay if I'm not coding, I guess. Sometimes when I code, it just goes to pieces. Okay, so where are we now? So we're getting our live channels, and what we'll do, it's a list of strings, and let's just in here, so what we got, this is the channel name, isn't it? So let's put in a live channels.first for now. So streaming now, and what we'll do in here is the same thing basically. We'll insert. So this is not necessarily going to sound any different, but we actually are going to be getting the information this time from Twitch rather than database. So let's give this a go. Let's give it a build, make sure we're okay. Yep. And then we'll publish it up. Okay. We'll wait till it comes up. There we are. So let's give that a go. So it should once again return Codebase Alpha, but this time, as I say, it's coming directly from Twitch. So let's give it a go. Alexa, ask live coding, who's streaming right now? That's not a good sign. Alexa, ask live coding, Who's streaming now?
Codebase Alpha is streaming now.
Okay. So that's actually worked, hasn't it? So let's just have a quick look at the logs and run that again. So what we'll do in our code, we'll log out. We'll write the logs to see who's actually which channels are being produced by our query after Twitch. So for each channel in the live channels, what we can do is log that information, log information, and what we'll do is just interpolate that live now, and we'll put in channel. Okay, so let's just publish that. Okay, that's publishing. Right. Give it a go. Alexa, ask live coding, who's streaming now?
Codebase Alpha is streaming now.
So I wonder if anyone else is actually streaming. Let's have a look at our logs. So yes, according to this, it is only actually me who's currently live. I don't know if anyone can verify that. I guess there might be some other, because it's only looking at our limited list. We only got 5, so I guess if Rambling Geek went live for a short while, we could actually test it. If you go live, Rambling Geek, please, and let's see if we can actually get it to bring back you in this list, and then we'll get it to say several people. So if you let me know when you're live, then we'll fire up the echo. So fingers crossed this will work. So you can see down here, I'll just switch this off a second. You can see down in the logs that we actually picked up that oops, we can't do that. There we are. Can you see here it says time zone is Europe, London, so it's picked up the time zone. So it's where it's got the time zone from is from the device settings. So it could be the user hasn't set that up in their Alexa app, and so we do need to cope with that to say if you don't choose to set that up, then the skill will operate under reduced functionality, because it'll have to give you the times that people stream in UTC rather than in their local time zone. So how are we going on, Rambling Geek? Have you gone live? It's not there at the moment. Let's give it a go. Alexa, ask live coding, who is streaming now?
Codebase Alpha is streaming now.
We didn't get any more logs, did we? I don't think Rambling Geek's gone live yet. So, Rambling Geek, are you able to confirm that you're live yet? Gone live 5 seconds, okay. Alexa, ask live coding, who is streaming now? Alexa,
Welcome to the
Alexa, ask live coding, who is streaming now?
Codebase Alpha is streaming now.
So we're not seem to be picking up anyone other than me. Interesting, I saw Belfast back then. Wonder what that was. Alexa, ask live coding, who is streaming now? Alexa, ask live coding, who is streaming now?
Codebase Alpha is streaming now.
Okay, so we better check the code actually. I wonder if it's bringing back, is it really bringing back all of them? Or is it just bringing back? It says it brings back a list of channel names. So let's go and have a look. Get live channels. So this is where I wish I had code lens. So we know we're up in the Twitch service, which is here. Yes, Twitch has told you Ranking is live. Okay, that's good. So we know it's live. So he's not in the list. We can't put other than actually printing it out. So we're going through all the live channels and logging that information. So it should tell us. So let's quickly have a look at this. So I've not checked what this actually does. So get live channels. So we get the channel IDs. Okay, so converts a list of Twitch channel names into Twitch channel IDs. Okay, so it's calling out to Twitch and getting the Twitch IDs from Twitch, and then it is calling into here. So get live channels. So is what's saying it's live? Channel ID query format and user ID is that. Oh, streams. Oh, so it's looking for currently running streams, isn't it? Interesting. So so this ought to. So if I go to the what was it called? The is live controller. Then we should see the when we run up our application, let's start it up here, we should see Rambling Geek in the list. HTTP DevStreams. So Rambling Geek is in this list here. So we should be picking him up. Let's try again. That's a controller. Alexa, ask live coding, who is streaming now? Come on. Alexa.
Sorry, I'm having
So
trouble
this
understanding
sometimes
right now.
seems to happen.
Please
We
try
get
a
into a
little
bit of a
later.
loop with that response. So let's wait a second and let's ask now. Alexa, ask live coding, Who is streaming now? So quite a delay. And no response. Alexa, and then it fails. We're getting it logged here.
I'm having trouble understanding right now. Please try a little later.
Alexa, ask live coding, who is streaming now?
Codebase Alpha is streaming now.
So I'm not seeing. The problem with this logging is sometimes it does lag behind, but I'm not seeing Rambling Geek in the list, even though he is. Reboot Alexa. Sometimes I could just boot Alexa. Actually, sometimes it can get very annoying. As a technology, it's wonderful, but it can be quite frustrating when it starts to not understand. Okay, so it's interesting here. We've got another line. You can see we've got Codebase Alpha and then live now a blank there. What's the best way of looking at this? You got 5 viewers, Rambling Geek. that's funny. So there's nothing on there. I think I don't know what to do. Whether to ask you to carry on going live or just let's ask you to stop going live then, because those poor 5 people are going to expect a stream from you. And I'll just come back to this because I'm a bit kind of mystified about why it's not printing out all the channels there. But let's go and have a look at another problem, which will be the when next. So here we are. We're trying to pick up the next time someone's going to stream. So what we're doing here is reading back the channel that we've been asked about. Ancient Coder, good evening. Welcome to the stream. Good to see you. So the challenge we're going to have is that this channel that's been interpreted by Alexa and converted into a string response isn't going to match really what we've got in our database. So we need to have a look at how we find the values in our database that we're looking for. So let's show you what's in the database. I'll bring up the Management Studio for SQL Server. We'll have a look in the database. Okay, so we've got our DevStreams database in here. There's a bunch of tables. And eventually we'll find it. So we've got our channels table. Let's have a look in there. So I'm running on, actually I wonder if it's to do with us being throttled, because I'm running on free tier at the moment. Well, it should be okay. It's quite slow. I think I need to kind of beef up my my app service plan from the free tier to maybe a B1 while we're streaming. I haven't done that. I might do that if we keep running into issues, just in case it's we've been kind of throttled on processing. Okay, so you can see here we've got Dev Chatter, Codebase Alpha, No Opcat, Gareth Hubble and Rambling Geek, and they're in this kind of format. And what we need to do is try to match what the user says to Alexa and what Alexa interprets that as text and match it up with what's in there. So let's have a quick look at how we can do that. Right, so so we're pulling out the channel here. So if we go over to our Dapper infrastructure project over here and look at the CUD repository, we can see the basic pattern for pulling these things back. So we want to get things back based upon their channel name. So you can see here we've got this is the identity column, then we've got a name, and we want to pull things back based upon the name. Okay, so let's just pull this piece of code out of here. So what we'll do is we'll have a play around and build some kind of test code in place, and then we'll figure out where it's got to go later. So this is going to be select star from channels. So let's bring this in. SQL connection, that needs to come in as well. SQL client, and we need DB settings. So let's have that as well. So how are we doing that? So go to our startup. So we are passing in a section called database settings. Okay, so database settings. And let's have a private read only of that. Settings. Okay, pop down here. Okay. So this is where so the way I'm thinking we can do this is using SoundX. So SoundX of the name is equal to the SoundX. So this is completely speculative. Whether this is ever going to work, I don't know. Not ID, it's going to be name. Okay. What we need to do though is we need to kind of massage this channel. So so when we say ancient coder. Oh, yeah, sorry. Yes, I see what you mean. Yes, you're streaming. Yes, sorry. I was just reading the chat there, and there's ancient coder's asking Rambling Geek if he's streaming. Yes, and he's not really streaming. He's just streaming for test for us. You might as well stop Rambling Geek. To be honest, we'll concentrate on getting this bit work, and then we'll come back to why that isn't printing out your stream when we know you are. You put a test card up. All right, that's a good idea. Yeah, Alexa, we're picking up in the DevStreams system that that both Codebase Alpha and Rambling Geek are streaming, but it's not when we're in our skill. It doesn't seem to want to actually log the fact that both of us are streaming. So I have to fiddle around with that a bit, I think. Gabriandres, thank you very much for the follow. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Yes, okay, Rambling Geek. If you stop streaming for the moment, then we'll come back to that, depending how much further we get with this this issue. Okay, so channel equals channel. So what we're going to do is replace spaces with nothing. So get rid of all the spaces. We probably need to do a bit more than just get rid of spaces, but we'll do that for now. I think SoundX should ignore capitalization. So what SoundX is going to do, it's going to strip out any vowels, and then it's going to use an algorithm to give numerical values to each of the letters, take into account that some letters sound the same. So you could have a C or a K, so a K and a hard C sound the same, so it'll know that. So this is going to be really speculative to see what happens. So we've got we've replaced any spaces. So in case it's split it into different words, we're going to kind of remove those words. So we've got a single word, and that's what we've got in our database, a single word. So we've got no opcat as no opcat without any spaces. Okay, and this needs to be name. This is going to be channel. So channel is string, and we want here name equals channel. Is that right? No, that's not right. So that was before. That was ID, wasn't it? Okay. So this is what's going to be placed into there. Await operator use. Okay, that's just the await operator there. Want to get dapper in. There we go. And we don't want T. This is going to be of type channel. Okay, so what's it? No, it doesn't like that. So it's saying that can implicitly convert to Alexa response. We're not trying to. We don't want to return that. So we want to say so this is going to return us a channel, isn't it? So we'll fix up the names at some point. Just trying to get something working, or at least something where we can test whether our logic is going to work. Okay, so we've got a channel, and I think what we need to do here is to say var standardized channel. We're going to use that because we're not actually what we're not doing is we want to preserve what the user said, so we can say back to them what they asked for. Okay, so what's the best way of doing it? Okay. So we got a DB channel back, and let's pull out of that var name equals DB channel dot name. Yeah, so let's say you asked about channel, and I found name in my database. Okay, so obviously we need to do some checks here. So if db channel dot name. So let's do a check on that. This string dot is null or white space. I wonder what happens if it doesn't find. So let's just check as well if db channel not null, and we've got a channel back. Then we can go into here and we can do a response. Else we can say, so let's just build a null response up here. Var response is null. Get rid of that. And then we can pinch this piece of code here. I could not find in my database. So what's the betting it's going to say that, but there we are. Var response is null. We want to select a response here. Okay. And what's this complaining about? Not string. Oh, there we go. DB channel. Alright. Let's take our life in our hands. What if two channels match the same sound X? Absolutely. Absolutely, that's going to be a problem. But we'll cross that bridge. Let's see if we can actually get any kind of sound X match at all. There's ways we can. There's a thing called difference in SQL where you can where it will kind of score how different it is from an exact match. So all these things are going to be challenges. It's always going to be a challenge. Audrey 2G, Andrew 2G, thank you very much for joining the channel. It's always going to be a challenge for us because we're dealing with lots of things out of our control. So there's the way people say the names. So a classic example is no opcat. Often people say noopcat, and it's going to be very hard for Alexa to actually pick that up. There's accents, lots of regional accents in the UK, lots of regional accents in the US, and different world accents, of course. So it's going to be pretty difficult to actually to test this exhaustively. But I guess what we'll know roughly, if there's a match, we'll probably take the first one. When we're doing a query single here, so we're getting one. So I'm not sure what's going to happen if there's more than one. I think it just gives us the first one with query single. But what we can do is we can take this down to we can get a list out of here. So we can change this to just to a query, get a list out, and then pick the first one, or if and just do it by judgment. But we're going to have to make some compromises. Basically, we haven't got any choice. So let's push this up to Azure, and what we will do, I think, let's get some logging. Let's get some logging in. So what's the best way of doing the logging? So we'll say here, so the user asked for channel. We found so this would be a name. I'm guessing we're going to tidy these variable names up because they're horrible, but let's just get something in. fix the spelling there. We'll log something here. We found no match. And what else can we do? Let's try that. We can't put it off any longer. We're going to try it out and see what happens. Glug of wine for good luck. Okay, so we're published. I'm tempted to wait a little while so this actually publishes. Okay, so let's just refresh our logs. So we'll try dev chatter and see if it can match that. Alexa, ask live coding, when is dev chatter streaming next? Well, it's thinking. We're not getting it logged. Alexa. No, okay. So this is par for the course. If you've been following the rest of the
please try a little later.
rest of the streams over on YouTube, I mean, you'll notice that we get this issue quite a lot. Alexa, ask live coding, when is dev chatter streaming next?
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
Okay, so at least we got an error this time. Let's have a look and see what we've got on our. So you can see here we've got it. We're all validated, and we came down into our action, and we had it unhandled. So we hit something in the database settings. Unable to resolve the service for type database settings. Okay, so it's basically just a programming issue at the moment. Okay, let's have a look, see what's going on. So over in the Dapper, there's Dapper. There we go. So we're bringing. Oh, exactly. So it's an I options. Silly me. Of course, it's an I options. Okay, and we need database setting dot value. Okay, that explains it. Where do we want it here? Database settings. So it's I options there, and it's database settings. And we're not logging. We're not saving the database settings. Oh, there we are. CRUD repository, database settings, DB settings equals DB settings dot value. Okay. We need to bring in the using for options. Okay. Let's make sure we're all happy down here. So we do need to tidy this up quite a bit, but let's see if this is happier now. So we're getting the default connection off the DB settings. That's fine. Okay. One more go then. I say one more go. You know, it's never going to be one more go, do you? It's going to be keep on going until it works. Or at least until we get some output that we can have a look at and figure out if this SoundX idea is actually going to fly. So let's wait for the website homepage to appear. There it is. Go to our logs. We'll just flip the logs. So we've got nice fresh logs. Let's try again. Alexa, ask live coding, when is dev chatter streaming next?
Sorry, I'm having trouble understanding right now. Please try a little later.
So I think we may be taking quite a long time to process these results. So we'll give it one more go. Oh, hang on, we're writing. So we hit an exception, didn't we? Did we hit an exception? So we got the user's time zone, which is coming back as Europe Belfast, which is really interesting because that's not what it is at all. It's Europe London in my configuration. And then we are these requests are taking a long time because I'm on a very cheap tier for my database and my app service, so I may have to increase those so we get a bit better performance. But let's try once more. Alexa, ask live coding, when is DevChatter streaming next?
You have asked about DevChatter and I found DevChatter in my database.
Oh, thank you very much, Alexa. So, it worked. We found DevChatter in the database. So let's have a look. So, did it log that information though? It doesn't seem to be logging very well, does it? Very reliably. I'm just going to pull off screen and make sure that I've got it set to log to information, but I'm sure we've seen it logging information. Yes, it's set to log at information level. So let's just try that once more. See if we can actually see the results in the log. I'm going to ask about Rambling Geek this time. Alexa, ask live coding, when is Rambling Geek streaming next? This is going to fail now. We're not getting any logs. Alexa, you see it's pretty consistent.
Sorry, I'm having trouble understanding right now. Please try a little later.
I think it's taking too long to process that, so we need to beef up our virtual hardware, I think, but we'll do that later. Alexa, ask live coding, when is DevChatter streaming next?
You have asked about DevChatter and I found DevChatter in my database.
Okay, so we can see down here in the logging, this time we did get Europe London for our time zone. User asked for dev space chatter, we found DevChatter. So that's actually working. So let's give it a slightly more complicated one, which is no opcat. So it's not going to get the K in the cat, and we're going to say no opcat. Let's see if that bit works. Alexa, ask live coding, when is no opcat streaming next? No, this is going to fail again, I think. Alexa, ask live coding, when is no opcat streaming next?
You have asked about no opcat and I found noopcat in my database.
Funny, it said noopcat, which is interesting. I don't know, I think no opcat is the correct pronunciation. So one of the things I want to do as part of either as part of this work or for Brendan to do before we do the pull request, is to actually add into the database the way that the streamer wants their stream name to be read back by Alexa. So kind of if it is noopcat and people say noopcat, we can actually get to say the right thing. If people say noopcat and it's actually noopcat, it can educate them into what the streamer actually intends by their kind of handle to be. Let's see if we can get it to do Rambling Geek. Alexa, ask live coding, when is Rambling Geek streaming next? So the Amazon Kindle Fire just chimed in with an error, but it could be because it can't hear me. So let's try once more. Alexa, ask live coding, when is Rambling Geek streaming next? So I've just...
You have asked about Rambling Geek Strout, and I found Rambling Geek in my database.
There you go. So it's actually picked up that, even though I made an error in what I said, it still matched on the Soundex. So can we find... can we find the logging for that? It definitely came back with Rambling Geek. It seems to have logged an exception here. So in the request type, let's try once more. Alexa, ask live coding, when is Rambling Geek streaming next? Alexa, ask live coding, when is Rambling Geek streaming next?
You have asked about Rambling Geek Street, and I found Rambling Geek in my database.
Well, we'll have some applause. It did quite well, didn't it? It did actually match that, even though we don't seem to have any... we're not logging, it's not consistently logging things for us. It seems here that we've got as far as validated, but it's not actually logged out any of that text that we're expecting. So it may be that we have to wait for it to come out. Let's. I'm determined. I want to see the log entries. Yes, yay, Geek, it knows you. Oops, we've got a red. Oh. Alexa, ask live coding, when is Rambling Geek streaming next? Alexa, ask live coding, when is Rambling Geek streaming next?
You have asked about Rambling Geek, and I found Rambling Geek in my database.
So I think we've proved it actually works as a concept. It's actually quite amusing, as you can see what it's put on the screen here for Rambling Geek. But interestingly, that, I won't read it out, but you can read it for yourself on the screen. That actually did Soundex match with Rambling Geek. So hopefully that's not your new stream name, Rambling. So that at least proves our concept is going to work. So let's see if we can get a bit more out of this. yes, it's. We probably should close that. It's supposed to be a family-friendly stream, even at this time. Okay. So we've now picked out of the database the channel information. So we want to know when they're streaming next. So that is. So the way the database is structured, if we go over here, you can see with Rambling Geek here is ID number 6, and then we have the schedule, and we will need to add something so it'll read out people's schedules. So you can see here's the schedule, and for number 5, which was Rambling Geek, I believe. Is it number 5? Number 6. So we haven't got a schedule currently set up. That was on purpose, so we can test a bit later on when someone hasn't got a schedule set up in the system. So, for example, we've got Codebase Alpha number 2 here. We've got a stream on the first day of the week, which is a Monday, at 2100 hours UTC to 2300 hours UTC, and then at 1600 and to 1800 on the Wednesday. So with Dev Chatter, you can see that we have the times once again in UTC. Once again in his local time zone, which is America/New York. So that's the schedules in his local time. But if we go to the sessions, you can see in here what the system does is actually build a year's worth of information about the stream schedule, and this is all in UTC. So you can see that the next stream was obviously today. So the next stream is going to be on the 1st of April, 1800 hours to 2000 hours UTC. Okay, and we want to make sure that these values are translated into UK time if you're in the UK. And obviously, as we go through into our daylight saving, we want to make sure that that's actually taken into account. We can use Node time to do all that for us. So, just what we need to get is we've got the channel here, the DB channel, and we want to use the ID for the channel. So for channel ID is going to be the DB channel, DB channel.id. And what we need to do now is to reach into the database and find the next stream. So the next stream. So we're just going to kind of build this up in a semi-haphazard way. Really, we're going to just kind of build it up in the simplest possible way it could actually work, and then in another stream we'll fix it up. So make it work, and then make it better, and then make it fast, because it's pretty slow at the moment. But I think that's because I'm running on the lowest version of the hardware, or the virtual hardware possible. So everything is all on shared tenancy, and also the lowest possible processor levels, DTUs, and all that kind of gubbins, really. Okay, so what we need to look at is we need to look at what was it called? It was called the stream sessions table. So stream sessions. So we don't want star. Basically, we really want to get the data we need. So I've got the wrong thing there. There we go. So we want the UTC start time. So let's grab that UTC start time. So UTC start time. Get that. Where no longer want that, we want where ID is equal to, that's going to be ID. We don't need syntax anymore because we've got a ID, and we can say and UTC. So let's have a UTC start time is, let's keep it simple and start off just by getting that. We'll call this, just call this ID, keep it simple. Pop it into there. So now we're going to get sessions. So equals a new list of stream sessions. Stream session. And order by UTC start time ascending. Just by order by UTC start time should be fine. And then this is going to be a query. Do we even query multiple? What have we got in terms of query? Query multiple. And it's going to be stream session. So that's our SQL. So why it's called query, that's why. There we go. Is it still going to complain? No accessible with query multiple. SQL to query. Thought we'd done that. Right. SQL. SQL. Is that going to be a list? I wonder. No. That's weird. Query multiple. Okay, let's go and look at the Dapper documentation. Dapper query multiple. Okay. So it's suggesting we use. Okay, so we need to use that kind of syntax. Go to that. So we can basically copy that into there. And then we want sessions equals multi dot read stream session to list. Okay. Right, so we've got our session, and we just want the okay. And so if sessions.any. So if we get anything back from that, then what we can say is next stream equals so I was thinking on my feet now, so how do we design this? Let's just create a var in here and then pull it out. So so the session sessions next stream is going to be sessions dot where first or default dot you see start time let's put star into that is greater than date time, not UTC now, not date time. Well, now hold on, date time. Thank you. See now. Okay, so it's coming back as an instance. So can we convert that to datetime UTC? So we all know already know it's in UTC, but it's an instance. This is a Noda time type called an instant type. So we'll convert that into there. So I've got the next stream. So the next stream is going to be so the next stream is going to be a session. So for our next stream equals new stream session. Stream session. So there's a lot of tidying up and refactoring to be done here. Let's pull that through into there, and then we found name. Here we can say something similar. We found next session, next stream on, and it will be that next stream got UTC start time. So I don't know what I was going to, if it's going to speak that back to us. What will that sound like? But we'll see. Okay, so let's extract this piece of information here. For once again, excuse the terrible naming of all the variables. this is going to be time, isn't it? So date time dot min value. Then we need to go. Oh, it's an extreme, not an extreme UT start. No, it's not that. It's just that extreme. Oh, the next stream is. We need to do that part. Okay. Because it can't be null. But that could be. There we go. So we found an extreme on there, so it's going to be the minimum value there. So we should be able to tell that. So it'll come out with some kind of ridiculous time. You've asked about channel, and they will be streaming next on, and we'll just put in next time. Next time in there. I want to do that. So we need to so what is this? This is a system date time, so we should be able to do it to one. So next time, give me some IntelliHelp. Oh, I can see why. Date time min value. So in here we want to have so this is going to be UTC for the moment, so we'll worry about converting it in a bit. So too long date string, too short time string, universal time. So let's have a quick look at what these formats are. Date formats. So we want something which that it can read out. So that's that seems quite good, doesn't it? So it's going to be a bit. We need to kind of format this in such a way. Pull out the date and the time parts separately, I think, because Monday the 15th of June is what we want to say, and then we want to say at, and then the time. So let's start off with it coming out with something like this F. So we just need to do a two string of format F. Let's try that to begin with and see. Well, we've got a calculator here. See what that sounds like. Two string format F. Oops. And okay, it's mixed on. So let's see what that sounds like. So we'll use dev chatter because because that's going to come back with the UTC time, which will be fine for us in the UK, but it would be wrong for anyone in the US. So then we need to do some node of time magic on that. But let's see what this does. So let's publish that. We're kind of starting to run out of time now, so I'll get this working. Just see if this works, and then I'll call a close to the stream, and we'll look at this another time. So in the next stream, we'll actually want to start looking at GraphQL. So what we're going to do is build a GraphQL API endpoint for the DevStreams project as well. So I think we've probably, I think this is part 9 or something, or part 8 or part 9 of the Alexa skill. So it's time to give it a bit of a break. Give me a chance to kind of do something a bit different, and then we'll come back and do some more work on this and actually prepare it for a PR. So let's give this a go. So I think we'll bring up the logging. We'll just bounce the logs. Okay. Alexa, ask live coding, when is DevChatter streaming next?
You have asked about DevChatter, and they will be streaming next on Monday, January 1st, 1:12 a.m.
1:12 a.m. That didn't sound right, did it? However, it did come back with some stuff, so it was pretty. I was pretty pleased. 1:12 a.m. Okay, I think there's some node of time stuff we need to do there. So I wonder if we can actually do that. So we're getting a time that's coming out as an instant. So this start time is a node of time instant. So let's have a look on node of time. And just as a last thing to do, I always say this, but node of time instant to time zone time. Okay. Node of time, date and time API. Instant. Node of time convert instant to time zone time. Okay, so we've got a 2 universal time. How to convert date time to node of time? How to convert instant to the corresponding system zone date time. That sounds pretty good. So John Skeet himself is answering here. Okay, there we go. So this is what we want. So let's grab this code and just change it. So here we're pulling out. Okay, so let's have a quick think. So we get that. Let's pop those in. So here we want time zone. I think we can ask for a particular time zone. So we want the user time zone. And we need to bring node of time into our application, and we need to bring the time zone database in as well, I think. No, it doesn't like that, does it? So let's go and have a quick look at node of time. Date time zone providers. We want a particular time zone. System zone. We want a system zone. Oh, hang about in zone. There we go. We should be able to. And we need a user zone there. User zone, and we want this is going to be nextstream.utc. We'll have to take care of the nulls in a bit. Zone, date, time. So we want the user zone. So what we've got on here, TZDB, which sounds right. And then in here, it's just a getter. We do a dot. So what did they have in that code that we just pinched? They had get system default. So we want node time, get time zone. Converting time zones. So this once again is a Johnski answer. So he's saying, oh, it's in an index, an indexer. So let's put that indexer in there, and that will be user time zone. So that gives us the user time zone. That should convert it into the zoned time zone, and then let's read that out, see what happens. So zoned time zone is a what? That's a zoned date time. Can we then convert that into a to date time? This is where I do to date time. I don't want UTVC, unspecified. I think we want, and then that should now be a date time, and we'll just move that up there. Okay, and what we can say is next stream is the first to default, and then we can say if next stream not null. Then we can get to those, and then we'll get the minimum time zone out there, but we'll take care of that. Okay, let's give that a go. And this will be the last thing we do. So let's publish that. Get the echo ready. Okay, published. Let the website come up. Alexa, ask live coding. When is DevChatter streaming next? It's funny because the Kindle Fire just responded. Alexa,
Sorry, I'm having trouble understanding right
That was
now.
really weird. The
Please try a little
Kindle
later.
Fire. Alexa, ask Live Coding, when is DevChatter streaming next?
You have asked about DevChatter and they will be streaming next on Monday, January 1st, 1:12 a.m.
So we're not picking anything out of the database, are we? There, we're getting January the 1st, Monday, January the 1st. So I think we need to have another look at what we're getting out of the database. I don't really like ending on a failure, so let's have another quick look and see what we can see. So that F format that we used, so let's go and have a look at those date time formats, C#. I thought F gave, so it's supposed to be reading out the year as well. It didn't give us a year, did it? 112 it says as well, which is really weird. So if we look in here, it should be, that should be the next one. Is our comparison not valid? I think that's the problem, because we've got an instance in the database. Mind you, we've got some type handlers up here, and instant handler should be converting our date time. We're not getting exceptions, I don't think. So we've got DevChatter. We don't seem to be writing out any kind of values very successfully here. Let's we'll just pursue this for a few more minutes, and I think we'll have to close the stream. But so we asked for that. We get the channel, and then we go in here and we get the stream sessions. We order by UTC start time. And then we pick the first or default from that list where the start time is after. So we're doing that change to UTC. Let's not do to UTC, let's do to date time unspecified, wasn't it? I wonder what it's doing. It's converting it to date time UTC. No, I don't want to stop rambling it. That's the problem. But my wife will get annoyed if I don't stop very soon, because we're now what, nearly 11:30. Let's convert it Unix time ticks. And convert that to ticks. Is that going to allow us to do that? Okay. So if it's not null, we should be printing out the zoned date time dot toString F format. Okay. And what we'll do is to log the symbol information. We come out of there if it's not we found, and this will be session next stream dot next stream dot to string. And would we get any formats on that? I don't think we're going to get anything very valuable out of just two stringing that. So that's a stream session, and we want next stream dot UTC start time, and then that's an instant. So I wonder what methods are available on instant. Let's find out quickly. Loader time instant. So this is the first time I've really used Noda time. So other than watching Brendan use it, so which is quite interesting. So Noda time. What has he got on it? Has he got a two string on it? Documentation. You got any documentation here? Documentation, API reference, instance, max value, min value, methods add, compare equals, from date time offset, from date time UTC, Julian, from Unix, from UTC, cache code in UTC, in zone, max, min, plus, to date time offset, to Julian, to string, default in the format pattern G, and we've lost, but we will try that. We'll see what it does. Let's pop that in. This is to be the last throw of the dice. I think it's going to. There's obviously something not quite right, so we'll just see if we can get any clues. And save actually fixing it working for a future stream. As I say, I do want to move on to the GraphQL work on Wednesday, just to give myself and you viewers a break from Alexa, because we've been going quite a long time on Alexa. Okay, let's have a look at the logs, and we'll try once more. Alexa, ask live coding, when is DevChatter streaming next?
You have asked about DevChatter and they will be streaming next on Monday, January 1st, 1:12 a.m.
It fascinates me how we don't get consistent logging here. Alexa, ask live coding, when is Codebase Alpha streaming next? Come on, Alexa. Alexa.
Sorry, I'm having trouble understanding right now. Please try a little later.
Alexa, ask Live Coding, when is Codebase Alpha streaming next? It's not going to come back. Alexa. Okay, I'm going to give up at that stage, and I'll get back to you. Yeah, your Alexa just responded in this Kindle filed in the background. So let's look into that next time, or at least next time we look at Alexa, because it's getting late. I'm getting tired. We're getting some response at least, and we've got the SoundX part working, which is good. We're still not getting any logging of those date and time, so I think we're actually not finding it's the query that's not working. We're getting the min date time, which is why we're not getting any decent logging. Okay, so let's find if we can see someone to raid, if there's anyone going. So hopefully Chief CLL we're going. There we go. We said we'd raid him back. So let's try that. There we go. So thank you very much everyone for watching, sharing Codebase Alpha episode 10 with me, a landmark stream when we got invited to join the live coders team. So it's been a really good day. We've got somewhere with this. We've done some integration. There's still kind of some loose ends. Thank you everyone for watching, and we're going to now raid Chief. So just sit tight if you want to follow the raid. Otherwise, have a very good night.